Tesla just dropped multiple bombshells and the stock jumped as a result. Looking at this earnings report is just good news after good news after good news after good news. And they're starting with the earnings number, posting a 72-cent earnings per share. The expectation was only 60 cents. And the margin is also significantly better than expected. Operating profit is also better than expected. Look, overall gross margin, they were only expecting 16.9%. And if you specifically look at the total GAAP gross margin, it's at 19.8%. This is amazing so far. Immediately after the report came out, the stock jumped 6.7%. I really love this cash flow number, $2.74 billion versus just 1.6 expected. And good news just doesn't stop there. The Cybertruck actually now has a positive gross margin for the first time. The Tesla Semi factory continues and remains on track with builds scheduled to start by the end of 2025. I really like this. Tesla has now officially produced their 7 millionth vehicle. There's some big news for FSD. We deployed and are training ahead of schedule on a 29,000 H100 cluster at Gigafactory, Texas, where we expect to have 50,000 H100 capacity by the end of October. Even James admits this was a big beat. He suspects that costs dropped way more than expected. And here's another reason why the stock is up. Preparations for new vehicles remain underway, including more affordable models, which will begin launching in the first half of 2025. We also had a record gross margin for Tesla Energy. Tesla says that the Cybercab will have an efficiency equal to about 5.5 miles per kilowatt hour. Tesla also announced that they have produced 100 millionth 4680 cell. And the Mega Factory in Lathrop demonstrated 200 megapacks per week, which is 40 gigawatt hours per year, which is its official full capacity. Powerwall deployments also reached a record for the second quarter in a row. And look at the trend of the Tesla GAAP gross margins. They are going up 17.4%, then 18%, and now almost 20%. And here is a massive bombshell. Tesla's energy business achieved a record gross margin of 30.5%. Is this real? This is insane. 30% margins? Now, I definitely don't expect this to continue forever, but 30% margins? Selling batteries, essentially? This is crazy. I've been telling everyone for a long time now that Tesla's energy business, it does have a lot of potential. And remember that we are building a new factory in in Shanghai. And that factory is probably going to be quite a bit more efficient than Lathrop. So things are just starting. Also, Tesla revenue is actually up year over year after reporting 25.182 billion in Q3. And Tesla now has a record $33.6 billion of cash on hand. This is crazy. And the Tesla Shanghai Mega Factory remains on track to begin shipping Megapacks in Q1 of 2025. I'm just so happy looking at this report. This is just good news on top of good news on top of good news on top of good news. And if you look at Tesla's total gross profit, you can see that the energy business is becoming bigger. It's no longer invisible like it used to be before. Here's FSD driven miles. Remember that there is another free trial going out. And as Tesla gets better and as more people try these free trials, I expect another exponential jump eventually to happen again. Also, the services and other business achieved a record gross profit in Q3, growing over 90% year on year. Wow. Here's Tesla AI training capacity. As you can see, there's a big jump happening right now. And there's another planned big jump that's about to happen as well before the end of the year. Now, why did these other businesses grew 90% year over year? Tesla specifies here that this was driven mostly by higher profit generation from supercharging, service center margin improvement, and higher gross profit generation from parts, sales, and merchandise. Our supercharger network continued to expand in Q3 with over 2,800 new stalls in the quarter, a 22% growth of the network year over year. That's actually pretty good for a company that got rid of the whole supercharging department earlier this year. Of course, as we know, there are still people working at Tesla on expanding the supercharger network. So those people that said that Elon made a mistake, well, how about now, huh? It's growing. Also, the consensus for operating margin was, I think, under 8% or even less than that. And the actual number came to 10.8%. I mean, this is just, no matter how you look at it, it's just good news. If you specifically look at EBITDA margin, we had 18.5% versus the forecast of 15.1%. Also, here's Tesla's installed annual vehicle capacity, which is 2.35 million. As you can see here, Tesla Semi, pilot production, next-gen platform in development, Roadster. I don't really care about the Roadster, but it's supposedly in development. Now, what's interesting is that the Cybertruck is profitable before Rivian became profitable. Okay, well, that's a big dunk on Rivian. I'm gonna like this one. Even Sawyer is saying this is a much more positive Tesla earnings report than I was expecting. I wasn't expecting much. And I'm looking at it like, wow. Wow. Tesla also posted its estimated life cycle emissions of gas cars versus Tesla's robotaxi. There's a big difference, of course. Oh, but it just gets better. Breaking. Tesla suggests that they expect to deliver upwards of 515,000 vehicles in Q4, which would be a record. For the first time, over 500,000 vehicles. Despite ongoing macroeconomic conditions, we expect to achieve slight growth in vehicle deliveries in 2024. Energy storage deployments are expected to be more than double year over year in 2024. This is such a good day. Now, I expect on the earnings call, maybe Elon is going to say something that will upset some people and the stock maybe is going to crash again. But hey, I'm just keeping my expectations low. And if it doesn't happen, then I'll be even right now already. I'm so happy as a long-term Tesla stock investor looking at this whole thing. I'm very happy. You mean to tell me we have $33.6 billion in cash? We can weather any economic storm. The whole world could be collapsing and Tesla would be just fine. Look at how much progress Tesla has already made with the Tesla Semi factory. Oh, and currently the Cybertruck capacity is over 125,000 per year. They're not telling us exactly how much, they're just telling us more than that. So Tesla's automotive gross margin is now the highest if you of the last 6 quarters. That's pretty good. We're getting back to these higher margins now. I think people today that sold Tesla stock were upset about some of the discounts that Tesla is doing and promotions. But yeah, there's nothing to worry about there, turns out. I'm going to talk about these later in the video. I pre-recorded that section earlier before the earnings. But as a long-term Tesla stock investor, this is what I really like, seeing the AI training capacity going up. Just vertical. This earnings report is just filled with bombshells. It's a bombshell after bombshell after bombshell. Tesla reiterates further that our company is currently between 2 major growth waves. The first one began with the global expansion of the Model 3 Y platform, and we believe the next one will be initiated by advances in autonomy and introduction of new products, including those built on our next generation vehicle platform. Now, specifically about the Cybertruck, it's already gross margin positive, and Cybertruck margins, I agree with James, will absolutely crush when it is at scale. All of these electric EV pickups, they're going to be destroyed by the Cybertruck's margins. Oh, and here's Tesla's automotive gross margin excluding regulatory credits. You can see the chart here. That specific number is at 17.1%. Tesla's literally executing efficiently everywhere. I agree with Dylan Loomis from Electrified. Tesla owners are driving on average 6.4 million miles on FSD supervised per day. This really is a game-changing Tesla earnings report because it is changing the narrative. No, the gross margins are no longer going down. They are going up. Look at Tesla's cash and cash equivalents. Up, and up. What an earnings report. What a day. I'm so happy. I can't contain my excitement. There was quite a bit of other news, by the way, that just happened before the earnings report, and I'll go through everything right now. This was pre-recorded, so keep that in mind. When I was recording this, I did not see the earnings report yet, but it's important news, so take a look. Here you go. This is a video of a Palo Alto lawmaker confirming that Tesla is indeed in discussions to deploy robotaxi, and he is saying that October 10th was very impressive. So local streets will probably be turned into a testing ground for the company's newly unveiled Cybercab. However, it's important to know that the California Public Utilities Commission and the California DMV are the regulatory bodies responsible for evaluating and approving the operation of autonomous vehicles in the state. But this is a very clear first step, and it's a step in a positive direction. Elon Musk replied to the story saying, cool. So obviously Tesla is actually working on this, and the fact that Elon Musk mentioned that Tesla should get regulatory approval in California. He wasn't kidding about that because now we are seeing some things actually happening. Farzad is calling this news gigantic. Tesla investor Yashu saying this is massive news. And I agree, this is pretty much the perfect place to test a robotaxi because you got all the engineers over there and you basically got the whole factory over there as well. And there already are autonomous vehicles in the area. So the Cybercab is coming to San Francisco. And do you guys remember the bet that Marcus Brownlee made? Well, I think we are gonna see that. We got a comment from a Chinese Tesla executive. She's basically number 2 in China for Tesla. She said, with autonomy, cars will run around the clock and no more parking space will be needed because we're gonna have charging spaces. But no, seriously, a lot of parking lots will be turned into parks. Elon talked about that during the October 10th event. We got some more good news here. We got the numbers from China's 13,200. And guess what? This is the highest third week of the quarter ever. China is just out there breaking records, a record after record after record recently. But Tesla China only registered 300 Model 3s last week. They sold 13,000 Model Ys. This almost sounds like inventory clearance, possibly suggesting that the new Model Y is coming maybe a little bit sooner than expected. I'm not keeping my expectations high for that to happen, but we do see some impressive numbers from China. But when exactly is it coming out? I think James has a very good suggestion here. First reports of the Model 3 Highland entering trial production in China came out in the second week of August. We had rumors before then, but it wasn't really, we didn't have pictures and stuff like that. It launched on October 19th. About a month and a half later, this puts Model Y at mid-December or right in time for start of Q1 of next year. But how long will it take for other factories to switch? I hope this time Tesla does a much better job than the previous time because in the US it took a while. It basically took almost a full year to start production in Fremont. And we haven't really seen before what would normally happen with the Giga Berlin factory because they haven't done a switch like this before. So it will be really interesting to see. Ideally by now, Tesla would have learned a lot from the previous change from the old Model 3 to the new one, and this transition hopefully goes much faster. But also knowing how long it took for Tesla to switch from the old Model S to the new one, that took such a long time. However, the Model 3 and the Model Y, they share so many parts that it should actually be much easier. Here's also some pretty significant news from Tesla just announced. Tesla is offering a record low loan rate of 0% for new Model 3 and Model Y finance orders in the US, and you do not need to purchase FSD to get that 0% financing. There are some conditions though, available for the Model Y only if you get a term up to 60 months, and you do need to put down a 20% down payment. However, the $7,500 federal tax credit will be applied if eligible. And for the Model 3, it's only available for a 36-month term and requires a minimum down payment of 20% as well. So the requirement to get FSD is no longer there to get this low rate. And if you remember last quarter, the financing rate was at 1.99%. So this new rate is almost 2% more expensive for Tesla. And basically Tesla is trading profitability for volume in this case. James estimates that this will cost Tesla about $600 million in Q4 in the US. James is saying, imagine how much demand Tesla could generate by dumping $600 million in a single quarter on a comprehensive multi-channel education or awareness campaign in the US market. And now imagine how much more interest Tesla can generate if it is offering such a good promotion and then it runs some ads. The best way to get incredible results from marketing is to have an incredible offer. So I'm sure eventually we will see advertising from Tesla, but first Tesla will hit the absolute rock bottom for pricing. And Omar is making a very good point here. And what will the conversion rate be on those ads if Tesla doesn't offer compelling sales incentives? They are already offering far less incentives than other EVs. That's very important. I like the strategy where we give money to customers. You would like it too if you were a customer. And we have a choice here really between lower margins or lower delivery volume. I personally prefer higher volume because that gives us more FSD data. And Tesla's loyalty is incredibly high. So when you buy Tesla, you will probably be stuck with Teslas forever. It's going to be your second car and then your third and your fourth, and you're gonna get one for your family as well, and you'll convince your extended family to buy one. It's a whole chain reaction. Anyway, here's a summary of all of the financing promotions that Tesla is running in the US right now. Tesla also just increased inventory discounts in the US to as much as $4,000, up from $2,500 on select Model Y and Model 3s. And on top of that, you can still apply that 0% financing promotion. And just to be clear, these are not demo vehicles. A shout out goes to James though for predicting that Tesla will offer these higher incentives this quarter. This will be the first quarter where Tesla is offering both low interest financing and inventory vehicle price cuts in the US. In Colorado, you can get a Model Y for about $25,000. There are some requirements to get these incentives, but James is basically saying it's free. And so because it's free, Omar is asking James if he can borrow $25,000 from him. I mean, it's basically free money, so I expect a deal to happen between these two. Somewhere in a different parallel universe where they actually get along. These two don't like each other. Piper Sandler just reiterated that Tesla stock is going to reach $310 in the next 12 months. Tesla just released their Q3 2024 safety report. Comparing this Q3 to the previous Q3, we are clearly ahead. So this is good news. Here's a better way to visualize the progress. It's just up and up and up overall. Lucid CEO Peter Rawlinson says he thinks full urban autonomy won't arrive until the 2030s. To which I would say there are two kinds of automakers. Those that are preparing for autonomy and those that are dying. I will be flabbergasted if by 2030s, Lucid doesn't go bankrupt. I mean, they could survive, but with the help from Saudis. And so here he is, the same Lucid CEO, addressing concerns about the company's almost $2 billion capital raise last week, just 2 months after its $1.5 billion raise in August. He says that the raise was misinterpreted and misreported, really. This is exactly as expected. It is exactly to the playbook it should have come, as zero surprise to anyone. I think he's actually being honest here because basically, not directly though, he's telling us we expect to go bankrupt. We expect us to have to raise a lot more money. Look at Ford being really cute. For Blue Cruise 1.5, the latest version of our hands-free highway driving, we have added automatic lane change. You mean something that Tesla has been able to do now for many years? You guys should just license FSD from Tesla if you really want to survive. Wait, it's not even available right now. This will only be available on the 2025 Mustang Mach-E. And this will be it for this video. I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.